We're trying something new today where I actually am going to be switchering live, where there's nobody behind the scenes helping switcher and answer questions. But so we were slightly delayed on the go live. We thought we had it down and we didn't. So I did this whole monologue at the beginning that I'm going to do again, thinking that we were live. So Livia's with us here today.
Hi.
So excited about having Livia next to me. We're going to be taming the primaries. Welcome back to another day of East Oaktober. Okay, today the whole challenge is how can you take these crazy primary colors, neutralize them, and create a balanced, harmonious painting. The reason we use old master paintings to do this as a study is because these are balanced, harmonious paintings, and it allows for us to be able to see what relationships are happening. By the way, we have a screen next to us that is showing your chat, and so we don't have anyone in the background saying what you're saying or dictating what you're texting, but we will be able to see it, and I'll make sure to say hi to everyone. So we have Julie and Joyce saying hello. Jean just said hello. And every now and again, I'll have to thumb through to check what y'all are saying, but really excited about seeing them. Esteban, I see you here. It's great to see you. Glad you're joining us from Sweden. So exciting. So here's the colors that I'm going to be using today. And the painting I'm going to be doing is Vermeer's painting. So I will pull up my macro so you can see. So I'm going to be doing the Milkmaid painting, and I noticed that one of you said that y'all had a chance to go to Vermeer's exhibit over in Amsterdam. I also have been to the Rijksmuseum and saw this painting firsthand, and it was absolutely exquisite. I went during Rembrandt's exhibit, so I know that they had a whole separate room. I'm assuming they did the same thing with Vermeer, but it was so incredible to see. And the great thing is there's primary colors in this, but they're all neutralized pretty heavily. So we're going to talk about how we can see the harmonious relationships happening. Also, Livia today will be doing Albert Thayer's roses today, which is also probably one of my favorite rose paintings of all time.
Yeah, Albert Henderson Thayer.
Yes.
The best.
The best. And if you haven't had a chance to see it, go to DC at the National Portrait Gallery Museum and see it there. It is gorgeous. It will make you weep. At least I feel like it does. It really almost creates an emotional reaction when you see it.
I haven't seen it in real life, but I want to.
Oh, it's gorgeous. Next time we all go, it sounds like we're going to have to do an East Oaks field trip. So I see Mia said hello from Sweden. I think we already said that. So out of nothing. I love it. Hi, I am Natalia. Is your name Lewis? My name is Lewis. So welcome, Natalia. I love out of nothing. There's a French term, or not a French term, a Latin term called ex nihilo. I believe it is Latin for out of nothing, and is a philosophical term. I wonder if that's where you got the idea of out of nothing. So anyway, a minute ago I had, if you notice my yellow here, I don't use cad yellow a lot, and the oil has separated a bit. And I've noticed that it was running away from me, so I needed to get a palette knife and push it back up. But the colors I'm going to be using today, we want you to use your primary colors that you have in your arsenal. And we also have reference images for you. I said all this before, and I'm trying to remember what I've already said. We also have reference images for you. Just go click down in the description below, and you'll see that we've chosen about 8 different images that you could use if you didn't have anything. However, we encourage you, if you want, use your images, find the painting that you're inspired by, that you've always wanted to try out, and do a color study of it. Small, quick, easy, with not having to pay a whole lot of attention to the drawing aspects. We're just trying to create color relationships. For example, I will not be painting the Milkmaid's face necessarily. I'll just be doing more of the light and shadow side of her face. Use this as your opportunity to find out what the color harmonies are going. And the reason we're using old master paintings is because they've already developed the harmony in them. And so it shows you how you can tame these colors down to match their harmony. And hopefully you'll learn something about how to mix these crazy, crazy colors. So the colors I'm going to be using today is cobalt teal. So maybe if I put it up here, you can see it better. Cobalt teal. And I'm using cad yellow, just gambling cadmium yellow. We encourage you, don't have to use these colors. These are just some of the colors I have. You can use phthalo blue if you wanted to, or you can use cobalt blue, or any of those would work. Just a blue, a red, and a yellow of your most chromatic tones will probably be the best. So what I'm using today, though, is going to be magenta, which is a quinacridone, magenta. Say that 3 times fast. And this teal. So I'm going to put this up. Go says, hi, Lewis. First time here from BC, Canada, British Columbia. It's great to have you. So excited to have you here. And thank you for these streams. You rock. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It is you guys joining that makes it valuable for me to keep creating. So, all right, so here's the colors I'm using today. I'm using this cobalt teal. This is the first tube I've ever bought of this. So I am trying to join you on facing new challenges and learning about a new color. And cobalt teal is one that I've been wanting to buy for a while just to try as a crazy additional color to my arsenal. And then magenta, I use alizarin more often than I use magenta. Of course, it's alizarin permanent and is also called other things in different environments. So I'm just going to do these like across the top here. And then I'm going to have white, and I'm going to make a black. So, and I probably kind of encourage you to maybe make your black. We were talking, Tina and I were talking about this today, where we think that, making your black will give you maybe a chance of more color relationships lower in value. So I'm going to put my ivory black down here at the bottom like I typically do. But I'm also going to make a black, and I'll tell you what combination I typically do use for that, which is ultramarine blue. And I usually do 1 part or 2 parts ultramarine blue to 1 part oxide red. But in this instance, I might, let's see, where did my oxide red go? There it is. I'm going to do 1 part oxide red to 1 part blue right now. That way I have like a warm black in addition. I'm going to switch you over to Livia. There we go. And while I go and find my palette knife.
Yeah. Thank you for loaning me your palette knife. I get what you're saying about it being kind of clumsy though, because it's a lot bigger than what I'm used to.
Yeah, see? I feel like that's clumsy. The thing. It is. It's a bit clumsy, especially when I'm used to like a smaller one that I can control. I feel like I can control more with it.
Definitely.
But, it's funny, sometimes, oh, here it is. It's on the ground right here. I'm cluttery by nature, but I get stressed out by clutter. And so I'm in a constant state of stressful flux between my cluttery nature and wanting to be organized.
You just have to get to the point where the clutter's too much and you're forced to do something about it.
That is exactly what happens. I get into these points of like crazy tension and I'm like, that does it. And I go from there to a state of feeling like it's time to fix things. So yes, Jean. Jean asks, are you using white and black as well? I am using white, absolutely, because I need something to, I need a high value neutralizer and a low value neutralizer, because otherwise I don't have any range to work with value. So, so yes, I am absolutely using white as well. I'm going to see if I can get rid of some of this cadmium yellow over here. I'm going to put it up at the top like this. And now it's just kind of like all over my palette. So cadmium's such an invasive color. So Alyssa says, hi all, FYI, there are different reference images, image on Lives quad screen. No roses. Oh my goodness, you're right. There are no roses. This is one of the other images, and we must have switched it out. I might have to have Tina come back over and help me get that fixed up. So we'll work on that and try to get that fixed up for you.
It's only a two-man show tonight, but you're doing great with the multitasking list.
Oh, thank you. So until then, just know, look up Albert Thayer's roses, and you will see that popping up. So.
Hi, Tina.
Hi, Tina.
Tina's coming to save the day.
Yeah. Tina's got a big project she's working on. She's in the other room working on it.
I'm just gonna steal this real quick.
You okay? Steal it. See if you can make it happen.
Yeah.
Thanks for telling us, though, Alyssa. I'm so glad you're joining again today. So our fellow Australian, I say fellow Australian as if I'm Australian, but our fellow artist from Australia. Okay. So I'm going to switch over to Tina, did you airdrop this to me?
Yeah.
Did you send it to the downloads?
Yes. I saved it to the downloads.
All right. So
We're getting there.
Alyssa says, yeah, he strapped myself into taming these primaries. FYI, another EBS at 220.
EBS?
What's an EBS? Am I missing something there?
Emergency broadcast system?
Oh, another broadcast thing's happening at 220? Well, thank you for letting us know. You'll probably end up hearing something from our phones. I doubt it though, because we have everything hooked up to our sound system.
Mine will probably go off.
So it shouldn't be an issue. I have you on mute back there. So, all right. I guess I'll get started. I'm going to mix these colors in over here.
Heck yeah. My palette, or the colors I'm using, very close to Lewis's. I have the quinacridone magenta. For white, I have Flake White Replacement by Gamblin. Also chromatic black. And then instead of the yellow he's using, I have Hansa Yellow by M. Graham. And then Cobalt Turquoise by
Nice.
Winsor Newton.
Let's see.
Do you think if I open the ATEM software, it'll bother anything?
It should stay. It should already be open.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. I thought it would already be open.
That's how I have to put the images.
It feels weird talking. Right
Yeah,
now. I'm like
I
talking
know.
into nothing. But yeah.
You don't even have to do that.
No,
Yeah, you just
get it.
bring it over.
I already have all of these colors on my palette because I kind
No,
of
the other one.
like to use
Oh,
primary
oh.
colors
It's
as
that one.
my
Oh, wait.
main way of mixing, and then I fill in with the secondary colors. Don't use a lot of earth tones. So this is kind of in my forte a little bit, but it will be interesting to do such a toned painting using the primary colors.
That should be all we have to do, I
Let's
think.
see if it changes the tone.
Nice. All right, everybody, we're in business. Thank you, Alyssa, for letting us know. We are ready to rock and roll now.
Okay, giving this back to you. The cord is too long or too short.
Well, we're good right now with
There
it.
you
Yeah. All right, back to me switchering. Okay.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you,
Say bye,
Tina.
Tina. Okay. All right, everyone. So this is what I'm working with over here. It's Vermeer's painting, and now we have Livia's up as well. All right, so the first thing I'm doing is I'm just going to do the same thing that I did yesterday, which is first work on making, I'm going to use some of this teal down here, and I'm going to just start balancing it out with some of this red, the hint of yellow, to make more of this neutral green yellow. And we're going to just put this in here to start with. Now, because I'm working with a white panel today versus a toned one, I'm thinking about like the fact that pure white is going to feel like everything's super dark. So you just keep adding more of these colors into this mixture. Notice that I'm neutralizing them by adding all three of them to itself. And like once it gets maybe too green, add a little bit of red, and then it makes it more neutral. And then put that back up there. Now, my painting, I'm going to stop right here at the bottom. It's funny because the camera also is stopping it there, so y'all can't tell, but the ratio is a little bit different. So I'm making sure that I go down to what I think is like close to the bottom of this piece. I'm going to just kind of push it a little further in than the actual painting. Okay, now I'm going to go down to the black. I'm going to make a dark version. All the way to where I feel like the window is. So I just pull this over just a little bit. All mess. Wash hands, wash hands. Hello from Vermeer's country. Hey, that's awesome.
Cool.
Lucky Duck gets to go and see anytime he wants. He or she, Lean, wants to go see it. They can go see it. So jealous.
Yeah. Never been all the way over there.
One day, Liv, one day.
One day I'll travel the world and I'll see all the art.
That's it.
One can dream.
Absolutely. Well, honestly, our career allows us to do some cool things like that. So I don't think it's too far out of your grasp to make that happen.
Have you done a lot of traveling?
I have done a decent amount of traveling. I lived in Italy for a while, and that was way cool, and got to do a lot of traveling through Europe when I lived there. So, but I feel like I could, I could always travel more, you know?
Yeah. There's no way you could see it all.
That's right.
But you can try.
Yep. Yep. Can try. All right. So now I'm making just a little bit more of a bluey version of my color here to put up in this window. So I'm glad we're doing, I'm doing a Vermeer piece so that the people that have enjoyed his work recently can enjoy watching this. Okay, now I'm going to go back in to my colors down here. Just remember there are a lot of ways of doing this, but for me, doing the larger areas, less significant areas are better to do from the beginning. And then that way, the more significant areas will be a bit easier to do later. I got to keep in mind, reminding myself, this is the bottom.
Is there any part of your Mastercopy that you are more nervous about, or you think would be more of a challenge?
Maybe this powerful blue, because it's a little bit in the range of a lower value, high-ish chroma blue, and to make sure that I can at least get close to, I wouldn't say nailing it, but getting close to getting it right.
Yeah.
At least in ratio to everything else in the painting.
Yeah. In theory, having the 3 primary colors, you should be able to get a pretty wide range. Right?
Yes. In theory, the only thing, you're right, you can get the widest range at the highest chroma with these colors. Some of the lower colors, the lower value high chroma colors, sometimes are hard to achieve, but with magenta and teal, you should be able to get pretty close to that blue. I'm pretty sure I can make that happen. So I'm working on like making a lower chroma or lower value blue here. So let's see how close I can get it to being that color. So look at that, almost cobalty. So yeah, so there's my blue, roughly. So if I add a little bit of the black to it, I can even lower it more in value. And somewhere in there is that color.
Pretty nice looking.
It's not too far away. So what surface am I working on? I am working on today I'm working on a gesso board, which is a company that makes panels. And so it's probably acrylic primed. And it's nice. It's a nice one to work from. So, but it's not something I'm used to working on as much. So we'll see how that goes.
Giving yourself an extra challenge.
Yes, exactly. But I love this painting because it feels like the colors are so vibrant, but there's a lot of neutral in there, and that's what I'm excited about trying to make happen. So let's see if I can make a bit of a green relationship. It's still on the bluey side, so I'm going to just neutralize this teal, and it should come close to that color.
And for me, I am working on a canvas adhered to panel. I just bought it like this. I don't think it's particularly nice or high quality, but for the occasion, I just needed something easy. And I kind of like the texture on it right now. For a quick study, I feel like it can grab onto the paint pretty well.
Perfect. I got this lower color over here. And at the beginning, I'm using just the same brush for all of it, and kind of just getting color in to a degree, and I'll push it around a little more with the drawing and stuff. The painting is remarkably small in real life. It's almost kind of like, you know, everyone says the Mona Lisa is really small, and it absolutely is true, which honestly, that's a great point. I want to lean into that comment, which is a lot of artists want to paint big, epic, monumental paintings, and there's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes they think that they're distracted by thinking that that's going to make an impact in the art world. When in actuality, it really doesn't. The better thing to do when you're first starting out is to paint a lot of smaller paintings. And when doing the smaller paintings, you can fail quickly and try a lot of things and make a lot of paintings and work on your skill set, because working really big is a whole nother beast. It's hard. So worth the challenge, but it might be not worth the commitment at the beginning, because I mean, look at people like Vermeer and Da Vinci. I mean, Da Vinci worked for years and years on Mona Lisa, and it's big to an artist. It's small to a viewer, because I mean, it doesn't help that they have it on this monstrous wall in the Louvre, and it makes the painting feel even smaller because you have this vast room, and what looks like a tiny little painting in scale of the room, but it's actually not that small. The Vermeer painting is much smaller. So, or the Milkmaid is much smaller.
You wouldn't know off the top of your head how big either of them are?
I almost want to say the Mona Lisa, I almost want to say she's life size. But since I can't look it up right now, and I don't know off the top of my head, I'd love it if I could solicit our audience to tell us what the dimensions are of the Vermeer painting and the Mona Lisa painting. It'd be fun to hear what people say.
Yeah, I want to know the answer. It's interesting to hear all of this, but I don't have the context in my head to be like, oh yes, it's that big.
Yeah, exactly. So tell us what you're working on too. Or there you go, 22 by 30.
Oh.
So, 30, you're getting close to 3 feet, you know. So there you go, 77 centimeters by 53 centimeters. Milkmaid is basically 40 centimeters, right? And then 45 centimeters. Yeah, there it is.
So quite a bit smaller than the Mona Lisa.
Yeah.
If the Mona Lisa is 77.
Right,
lengthways.
exactly. Yeah, the Mona Lisa is significant size, you know, but it's on a wall that's like, feels like it's 30 feet tall. Might be more in the 20 feet range, but it's really tall.
Need a grand display for such a grand painting.
Exactly.
I feel like I'm already finding this very interesting, because looking at my palette and the colors I've been mixing up to try to match the image, it's more subdued even than I
Anticipated?
And
Isn't that wild?
might be just because I haven't gotten to the very bright colors yet, but it's interesting that the painting itself doesn't look like it's necessarily lacking color in any way. It is kind of neutral, but in a beautiful way. It doesn't look like it's missing anything.
Yep. And I mean, that's it. You know, Olivia, that's the whole idea, is that like there is so much power and color in subtlety. Like we think that the paintings that we think are decently vibrant actually are quite neutral in the relationship to the primary color, highly saturated or highly chromatic colors. So it's such a great observation.
I know, I'm rethinking my whole plan of attack for my own paintings.
And that's part of the beauty of the exercise for the audience is like one of the goals that I have found in sharing and teaching here is whenever I have somebody do one of these master copies, often they make things more chromatic and then they realize, holy cow, I can keep going down and keep going down. I remember I did a master copy for a demonstration color study of one of Lip King's paintings. And the background was this like beautiful yellow color. And it was just blowing my mind how neutral that whole painting was, you know. So that's when I was like, you know what, this would be a good thing to teach.
It is. And it reinforces the value of doing master copies. I haven't done one in a while, but now after this, I should do more.
There you go. Do you plan to nail the nail in the top center of the Milkmaid painting? Oh, I love the pun. Well, for a color study, you know, I might be able to put a little dot, but for the color study, I'm not worried as much about those details, but I do love the pun. So I'm glad that you just asked it for that pun, for the punny reason in and of itself. All right, I'm going to switch back over so everyone can see what's going on over here. Every now and again, if I forget to switch, somebody just yell out switch so I can switch camera angles. So Olivia, what are you working on in the studio right now? Tell the world what's on the canvas.
Currently, I am working on a landscape of a scene in Washington. There's a buffalo ranch out near my dad's house.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm doing a sunset painting with buffalo.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a beautiful, I saw the color study. It's a beautiful scene. And I love that it's the buffalo because like it's a unique subject, much more of a Western subject, which is nice. But I forgot, I saw Coves over here. I didn't say it though, but I'm doing a Sororia copy with cobalt, teal, quinacridone, magenta, and cad lemon. Nice. You know, Sororia was a master of crazy color. And so, so yes, that's going to be a blast. I almost did a Sororia today. And then at the last minute, I was like, you know what? I'm going to try something even, not necessarily more challenging, but even more neutral for the purpose of example today. So that's helpful. So thank you, kind folks. Absolutely, Humdinger. Be a Humdinger. I want to know how you came up with the with your handle name. So, Liv, it looks like you've got a question.
Where in Washington do the buffalo roam? Well, my dad is based in Western Washington, to the west of Olympia. It's a farm, I think. They're farming buffalo. So I don't know if it would work. You could farm buffalo in all of Washington, or it just happens to work where he's at. But yeah, towards Aberdeen.
Pretty cool. Ramiro was a master of tiny details. He was. Broken window panes, papers on floors, writing on paper. Yep. You know, if you love that and like the details, check out Messinier. And don't ask me to spell it because I always mess it up. It's French, but he did a lot of scenes of like Napoleon's army and stuff and talk about a small painter that was incredible. That guy was incredible. So I left a lot of room. Aberdeen and Buffalo makes sense. Oh, Mia's got to leave right now. But we'll see you on tomorrow's. Absolutely, Mia, you have a lovely day. Thank you for joining us. Kind of enjoying having this chat next to us so that we can see what everyone's saying.
Yeah. Live action updates.
That's right, live action updates. So notice that I'm just trying to get the general colors down for context. Go ahead and switch over so you can see what I'm talking about. Just the general colors down for context here and there, to not trying to make anything like perfect edges or anything like that. Just trying to get the main color of the background realized and the color of the foreground realized. And so that way I can keep adding more to it later. And give me context for putting more of the milkmaid in. And if your palette ever gets too muddy or too much of the same color, just wipe it clean and start all over. You know, I always think like Richard Schmidt was like a master at stuff like that. He would always go back and wipe his slate clean and start over again. And it kept his paint fresh, kept his painting fresh. So something to think about. So,
like
go ahead.
A lot of making a good painting is about having good habits.
Oh, you know what? That brings up a point. Maybe we should make a video about good painting habits and good painting practices.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that would be a good idea.
All right, keep that in your head because my head's full of lots of things. And it's going to help remind me to make, how does everybody feel about that? Maybe I'll make a video on just good painting. Like, I don't want to call it good painting practices because like George O'Hanlon sort of didn't actually trademark it, but it's kind of a trademark term that he has. And so, but more about like good positive habits for painting. So I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Alyssa's for it.
Okay, let's see.
We have a few people saying it's good. Esteban.
Oh, nice. That sounds
Cool.
like a good one. Okay. We'll write it down and put that in the arsenal. And if other people, if y'all have any other ideas, look, we want to also make videos that you feel like would be helpful for you. If there's like, you're like, you know, I'm really curious about this thing. You know, maybe we'll make a live stream of it. The only downside that I see, aside from like having to switch and not being as frequent with it, is of not having another person, is the extra banter of another person in the room, you know?
Yeah, it's a little quieter with just two people.
Yeah. It's okay. I think we're holding our own. What do you think, Lou?
We're doing all right.
I think we're doing all right too.
I'm not the most talkative person, but
I think you're killing it.
bringing it out of me.
That's it. I love it. All right, what is Ed saying here? Let's see. I've watched people paint for years to relax at the end of the day, but I must say your content is the best I've ever come across. So informational. Makes me want to start. Oh, Ed.
Oh.
That was incredibly nice, and I appreciate your thoughts and your warm thoughts. That like inspires me to continue making as much as I possibly can. And so, sounds good. I'm intrigued. You don't seem to clean your brushes much. I feel like I'm washing my brushes and spirits a lot. I have made that a habit. Speaking of good habits, not to wash my brushes a whole lot. I wipe them a lot, so let's see. Let me switch over so you can see. I wipe them a lot. I always have a clean paper towel in my hand. I wipe them, and I will sometimes try to make different colors happen. If I'm trying to like make a new fresh color happen, I'll add maybe a touch of my lean medium, which it's made by Chelsea. I'll put that up here so you can see it. Chelsea lean medium. And I'll use that sometimes, and it has a bit of a thinning nature to it. But no, I, for the most part, try to not put them in turpentine a whole lot or in paint thinner a whole lot. Just because I don't usually have my thinner open, and I don't really like breathing in a lot of solvents. So try to steer clear of it. All right, I might have to switch to just darken this other side, this other side of the sheet a little bit more. When it comes to like making your really dark darks though, I will sometimes use a deeper color, a fresh brush, deeper color. It shows you when I'm like trying to multitask too much.
Yeah,
I start
yeah.
saying random things that don't make any sense. But I try to use a fresh brush to make a really dark color. So, but in this instance, this is still, I can still use a brush with a little bit of paint on it because this isn't insanely dark, and nor am I committing yet to that color. What's this saying? I'd love to see a video showing the finishing the paintings. That would probably mean that you start with several later stages of several paintings. Okay, well, I will say that our final 3 days that we're painting in layers, the third day will be a finishing stage day. So make sure you stay tuned for the final day of our 20-day journey, because that will absolutely have that. But that's my favorite stage, is the days where I'm putting in details and cleaning things up. It's funny because I feel like what I have seen from people or noticed is that a lot of people are kind of over it by then, but it makes me really excited that there's somebody out there that isn't, that actually is intriguing to them as much as it is me. So I am down. Let's make it happen.
I feel like the finish is the hard part. So for me personally, I like to watch it because starting a painting can be kind of easy, you know?
Yep.
But getting everything looking complete is a whole different story.
I'm just now noticing that I probably need to pull this green part of the table over even more. Greetings from India. Well, greetings back. Thank you for joining us today. Oh, yay, live, first time I see this live. Well, thank you for joining us, James. Appreciate having you. I'm leaning into doing more live streams because I really enjoy it. I really enjoy seeing what people are saying and what's going on. Just, if anyone's wondering what I'm doing, just fixing the drawing a little bit, just pushing the drawing over just a hair more. Around there, I think would be fine. And pushing a few things over here. Let's see, Joyce says, fantastic. It is always a treat to see the thoughts going into the final touches. Very seldom do I see that. Absolutely. And we'll try to like put one of my closer up lenses so that you can see up close. So, is that King's Blue on your palette? No, it is cobalt teal, which is This one's made by Gamblin. You can find it in multiple different other companies as well, but this one is a cobalt teal from Gamblin, and basically it gives me the largest range on the high end of color. I can relatively mix most any color. In the darker ranges, there's probably some richer colors that if I pulled them right out of the tube could work, like maybe ultramarine or something. But I can get close to ultramarine. If you notice on my palette, this color is decently close. It's a little less chromatic than ultramarine is, but it's pretty close to it. Let's see if I can pull up my camera. See, I've got ultramarine right above there to the top right of that color. So let's see if I can do a few things at once. That's my ultramarine, and that is the ultramarine color. So if I pulled this out though, I don't know if I have any, it's all dried up. If I pull it out, you'll notice that this is slightly less chromatic, but I think that's okay. I think I can still work with it. Oh, awesome. That's a wonderful Sargent painting. So I'm excited to see what you do with it. All right, what you got going, Liv?
What do I have going?
Yeah, tell me about it.
With my little Mastercopy?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it is a balancing game. I feel like my inclination is to use a lot of cool tones, but it's actually not a very cool painting, I think. So it's just in comparison, things look quite cool, especially in the vase. Like, the only really cool parts, I feel, are the highlights. And then beyond that, moving into the shadows, it gets a lot warmer. So I'm kind of struggling to find a balance there. But I think it's going okay.
I think you're doing great.
How are you doing?
I'm good. Just still kind of like placing things a little bit. Since we've got time, usually I'd be even faster than this on these, but since we're trying to do this over a little bit longer duration, I'm kind of just drawing it out a little bit more. So.
Good. From the angle I'm looking at my own painting, there's a glare on it, and I don't know where it would need to be.
Tilt it more vertical. Yep. Can we help you with it? Here.
Yeah.
I got you.
Like that?
Yeah, that's one way. I'll also do this for you. Wow. Is that better?
Yeah, that's good.
Cool. Oh, I know. It's also coming from that light behind you on the back right. So let me turn that light off. I bet you that'll help.
Does Liv have an Instagram? Liv does have an Instagram. Plug moment.
Yes.
Right here. It's at Ophée, which is spelled I don't remember how to spell. Ophae. Livia Lynn Miller.
That's
Art.
it.
Go check it out. You can see my work. Let's see your work. You can share.
To add to that cobalt question, yes, if you have cobalt teal, you don't necessarily need cobalt blue. And I'm going to switch over to my angle so you can see. And I'm going to look at my palette. I'm going to show you, here is I'm going to pull up my camera here so that you can see it better. So cobalt blue is right, there we go. Okay, perfect. All right, cobalt blue is right here on my palette, okay? And I'm going to I'll use a fresher brush so it'd be easier to see. If I take the cobalt teal and I mix the red with it, notice how close I can get to that cobalt blue. So we can darken it down just a little bit more. So it matches that color a little bit closer. But you can get pretty close to that cobalt blue color with just using teal and magenta. So give it a try. However, I will say use cobalt blue a lot, and that's just up to you. Is your red alizarin? No, my red is magenta. So in this case, it's magenta. Usually I use alizarin, but the magenta gives me a larger range and allows me to make like that cobalt blue color with the teal. All right, I'm gonna just go grab a different brush.
Thank you for helping me with that. This is way better.
Oh, sweet. Nice, I'm glad. Now, I might not use the solvent a lot, but boy, do I use my paper towels. I use probably far too many paper towels. I feel bad about all the trees out there that die because I've probably killed one big whole tree with the amount of paper towels I've used over time. So I'm switching over to one of my little Rosemary Michael Klein brushes because I like to use them for kind of pushing paint around. They kind of, I don't know, for some reason I'm just used to them, so it's easy to control them. They're relatively affordable brushes, so I feel like I can beat them up and not have to worry about it too much. But I like them also for like drawing purposes. So I'm going to just like start drawing a few things here. I'm going to go over to Liz, see what she's doing. Watch her rock it for a little while.
Watch me struggle with the highlight.
Doing great.
How are you feeling about your painting right now?
I'm
good.
feeling like it, the color is starting to be balanced, and now I'm just kind of like starting just to put in where she's going to be in the painting, that kind of thing.
I'm liking the background.
Nice, thank you. All right, we're going to mix up. Actually, we're going to switch back over so y'all can see this because I'm going to just try to mix up a little bit of this. I'm assuming you call it a corset. Somebody might have to check me on this. But I'm going to neutralize the color a lot by adding a little bit of the other two primaries in there because it is a very neutral yellow. So, and the good thing is that all these colors seem to have a relatively good tinting strength relationship to each other. And the reason that's important is because no one color is more of a bully than another. So, which is nice.
Yeah, I was thinking of using phthalo blue, but I didn't go for it because it's just too intense.
Yep. All right, so I'm going to brighten it up just a little more, add just a hint more yellow to it because I want it to be brighter than the background. Now, like I said before in the last several live streams, I'm not worried about making a perfect little Vermeer painting. I'm more worried about the color relationships. And so I'm intentionally not like trying to go heavy on the drawing so that you feel at liberty to do the same. Carmen made an exquisite little painting yesterday and had it looking all perfect and lovely. But I'm doing just the opposite of that so that you see that I'm not worried about what the drawing is going to look like. I'm more worried about making sure that my color relationships are going to be working. So, and then if I have time, we'll tweak the drawing here and there. But I think that's more important for me to emphasize.
Yeah, it's good to know going into the little studies what you want to get out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see, I'm gonna just make sure. If I miss your comment, let's see if I can see on here. Oh, there we go. Good, I haven't missed anything. Is that a red alizarin? No, it's magenta, and then also, yeah, try it out. I mean, it's an affordable color. It's not too expensive. You can get it more expensive. I think Michael Harding makes one that's like $40 American dollars, but for the most part, you should be able to find it affordably. Because I think the one I bought was $20 US. I like to make that clarification for all of our international friends.
Yeah, it's good. I don't even think about stuff like that. Since moving, I've had to think about time zones a bit more again. Which is a little weird, but yeah, thinking about things like currency. Beyond me, I haven't left the country enough for that to be relevant to me. But it's good that you keep that in mind.
Quick question, how do you feel about lending paintings to local private businesses like restaurants, bars, and cafes? Any pitfalls I should try to avoid? No, and I say no in the sense that nothing at this moment comes to mind. That doesn't mean that there aren't any. But I do know that there are a couple of artists that have made it a business model where you can, they are a little more popular already, but that they've made it a rental where you can, for like a law firm to have some artwork while they're still trying to get things going, they can rent the work. And so I found that to be an interesting business model, you know, and something worth people maybe checking out and looking into. But just make sure, I would still say, the only thing I would say is that if people wanted to buy the work, have a clear agreement between you and the shower about if they get a cut, or if they do, what is the relationship and ratio, you know. So sometimes they'll let you just hang it for free because they like it to be part of their atmosphere, and then in turn, if it sells, then you benefit. All right, so her bonnet, for lack of the true and original term, hola, we have somebody coming in.
Hola!
Hola back. This is the lightest area of the painting, is her bonnet. So I'm gonna just try to push my white, even though I'm noticing that even the white is really not white. So I'm going to just push it enough to where it feels separate from the background. Here we go. And that way I can at least gain some context, and then I can fix it more later. You know, one of the other benefits to doing these Mastercopies is you get used to like learning how to control your paint on a small scale. And it helps you not get scared to try things and to overlap things, because you're not trying to like get this drawing perfectly. And I find that to be a benefit to people, is that they can really work on learning more about how the paint works with your brush without the fear of messing up a painting. And that is the whole theme of this month, conquering your fears.
We're being very brave.
Yes, we're like warriors. let's see how bright I can make this yellow. And I need to add more white. There we go. It's starting to feel more like that color. Yes, love it. Transparent red oxide is your name. That's one of my favorite colors, so that's awesome. Yes, the colors, yet again, are cad yellow, cobalt teal, and magenta, black, and white. And that's it. And you can use any color that you have available to you that's a primary color. The whole idea is to use your primary colors today in such a way that would force you to neutralize them. So yesterday was about the Zorn palette getting really trying to push the chroma as much as possible, which is quite the challenge. And today is more about taking crazy chroma and neutralizing it enough to make a beautiful neutral painting, such as this Vermeer, or pushing it even like in a Sorolla painting where he worked with a whole lot of color, but you'd be amazed at how neutralizing some of the broken color relationships were. So it's for that benefit. There's some like beautiful little teal colors in here. And some neutral yellows. Which do you prefer, Louis, Zorn today or today's challenge? Well, that's a good question. Yesterday was a fabulous challenge. I made it really hard because I chose a painting that had colors that were impossible to capture with the Zorn palette. So for that reason, it was fun. But it did bring in some insights of how I would have staged the painting earlier, which is I would have made my tone of the canvas more red for the purpose of pushing the green that was in the painting and creating a better relationship. Because if you could make a neutral color and it looked green if you had a toned red underpainting or undertone. So for that reason, that would be the only thing I'd do differently. But today I've been excited about because both of these challenges, I'm trying to participate with you in the sense that I'm doing something that I'm not used to doing for the purpose of conquering my own fears. So it is a lead by example situation. And I would say out of the two of them, I've been more interested to see how I could use primary colors in a limited way, meaning only a few colors on my palette and pushing those colors. Because I've painted with the Zorn palette many times before, but not in the purpose of color study and not in a purpose of creating Mastercopy relationships that were impossible from the colors I was given. So I'd say maybe this one was just a touch more interesting. They both were decently interesting to do. The insights of an experienced artist are gold. Thank you. Alyssa, you're so sweet. You're welcome to come to our studio anytime. Just fly over the ocean, fly over the Pacific.
Just a skip and a hop.
Just a skip and a hop away. So we'll meet you halfway. Let's meet in Hawaii. How about that? I would be down.
Yeah, it's for work purposes.
Exactly. It's a write-off, right? All right, you know what? I didn't think about this, but I haven't put a face in, and I've kind of gone all the way around it, but not put something in. So I'll work up into the face. I'm gonna do this little bit of white in front of her corset-esque thing, and then work my way up. I need to add some more white to my palette. What has been the challenge so far on this, Livia?
The challenge?
So far.
I feel like using more limited colors really makes value even more important.
Mm-hmm.
So that has been a little bit tricky, especially how you mentioned getting the dark colors
Mm-hmm.
can be really difficult. In this kind of palette, I'm seeing that, definitely mixing the black with the turquoise color I have or the yellow. It's hard to get a rich color and have it be dark.
Yeah.
So that seems, I feel like that's where I'm really hard.
Yeah, that's true. Everybody tell us what your challenge is on the painting that you're working on. So, and meanwhile, we have a thing from figurative artist Benjamin Lester. What kind of white are you using? Personally, hate titanium white. Can you recommend whites that are less Napoleonistic? I love it. So, to answer your question, I'm using Rublev's lead white, number 1. And I sometimes will cut it 2 parts lead white to 1 part titanium white if I'm working on an alla prima painting. That makes it less domineering, but sometimes the tinting power of lead white can be too timid. So by putting them together, sometimes I feel like I get a perfect relationship between those two. So switch you back over to Olivia while I go pick up some oleo gel. I'm going to go close up on Olivia's painting so that we can see what she's working on.
I had Gamsol on my paintbrush and I didn't realize that I was intending to do some blending, but I just like wiped out a little swatch of paint. Oh well, we'll fix it at some point. It looks a little better.
Oh, titanium is my favorite white. Oh, Jasmine was saying that to him. Nice. It's all about knowing how to control your color. It doesn't, because, some people are like, I don't like bullies because there's tons of bullies out there, like cadmium red, alizarin can be pretty domineering, titanium white, almost all the cadmiums can be a bit invasive. But if you have the counterparty that is more or just as invasive, then all of a sudden everything mixes well. So if you have all the cadmiums plus titanium, and then your lower colors like oxide red, and the blues are the ones that are the challenge because they tend to be a bit more timid. But you can put a phthalo blue on there and it'll be just as domineering.
Have you used any whites, or do you like any whites besides titanium or lead white?
Well, flake white is something else I've used. And past those, I haven't really explored too much past that point. I've done zinc earlier in my career, but then I found that wasn't healthy for my paintings. So I stopped using that. But for the most part, that's kind of what I've done. And that's not much past that point. Sometimes I find my color at some place isn't that rich. I'm missing the chromatic midtones or maybe wrong temperature. It all is about relationships, and so it might be that your other midtones aren't neutral enough to make it feel as chromatic, or it could be that you need to clean your palette and clean your brush to make sure that your chroma stays high because your brush is fresh and your paint mixtures are fresh. So try those two things. Chinese white. I've never tried Chinese white. So that would be a new one for me to try. I've tried Chinese vermilion before, but
Oh, I'm curious about what the qualities of that would be.
yeah. Jasmine, tell us more about your experience with Chinese white, if you have any.
Maybe I'll try it out. Because I usually was using titanium white. Now I'm trying flake white replacement, but I'm not sure how much I like it. I'm still on the fence about it.
Gotcha. All right, I'm going to switch over. So what I'm going to do now is work on the face color. But this, I thought it'd be fun for y'all to see because I'm going to use this magenta, add a bit of yellow to it. And then I'm going to make a low value, low chroma orange. See how this looks. And remember, just put something down. Don't worry about if it's perfectly right. Just get it down. That way you can work into it and adjust it. Okay, so now I'm gonna like bring it up on the light side. Now the light side is pretty low chroma. Other side of her face. And that's already too chromatic, so I'm going to just drop it down. Add a little bit of that teal into it. Teal helps neutralize it a little bit. Put it down and then we'll go in and adjust it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, barite white. I've seen that on Rublev. It's a mix of 50-50 titanium. Yeah, the result is like a lead or a zinc white. Interesting. I saw that on there. I almost bought it last time they did like a sale or a special. I'll definitely have to look into that.
Yeah, I would be curious about trying that.
Here we go, getting a little bit closer to that color in the face. It's funny because that mid-tone plane on the face is quite neutral, at least in the paint in my photo reference. I always have to be careful in the faces because I want to like put in all the detail. I have to keep on myself. This is a color study. It's not about the detail.
But it's so fun.
I know. I know. It is so much fun. See, that's why I love this group is, wait, hold on. We're frozen. Dang it. Okay. There we go. Sorry about that, everyone. I know that everything paused out for half a second, but everything's good and we're back. All right, so it said, what are your brushes you use? Brushes you use. Can anyone use craft store Chinese paintbrush for, whoa, we're getting a little bit. Let's go back for a second because I can't see. See, what are the brushes you use? Can anyone use craft store Chinese paintbrushes for a good painting? What is the difference between a good brush and a craft store one? I prefer synthetics over natural ones. So the difference between those brushes are how the follicles are made. And I've thought about doing a brush course because everyone asks, what brushes you use and that kind of stuff. And it is important to a degree. So I'm looking forward to trying to have that be a thing where I can share more information about it. But to answer your question is that natural hairs have micro hairs that drop, that splay off of the main hair follicle. And so what happens is you need a brush that can lift or grab paint, but also release paint really easily. And because of that, different brushes are more conducive to picking up paint and releasing it better than others. And so that's kind of what you're looking for in a good brush, is how well it can do those things. So anyway, I think that cheap brushes don't taper off at the end because microscopically, they don't taper off well enough compared to natural brushes. But there are synthetic brushes that do, but they usually only have one follicle that tapers off to the end. They don't have like multiple. So that's why sometimes natural hair tends to be a preference, is because they lift well and they release well. The problem is natural hair lifts and grabs paint better and releases slower, but synthetic doesn't grab as well, but erases very quickly. So there's just a play with color that way that you have to pay attention to. So let's see. So hey everyone, Jasmine says, and then also right here we have Co says, also Lily Thorpe. This is zinc white that Rublev sells. Apparently only zinc oxide cracks, according to Rublev's website. And if anyone knows, George O'Hanlon knows, that guy is a master at chemistry. Okay, so Olivia's painting is painting gorgeous style. Look at that.
Thank you. I have a good reference, I'm not making any of the decisions here. Can't take too much credit.
Goat hair are good for glazing. I imagine goat hair is not used making suffer animals. No, typically the hair of hog's hair and goat hair typically is extracted, believe it or not, the hog's hair is extracted from their ear. And it's an internal ear hair, which I find to be very interesting. So there's a whole world there on brushes, and we probably just need to do a nice course on brushes for people in the future. Yep, I'm sure everyone right now is going, Lewis, you're fussing too much.
Or maybe you're not fussing enough.
That's what I'm telling myself. That's how I'm justifying all of it. So,
Eye teeth, eye teeth.
okay. Well, they wouldn't be able to tell because I wasn't on camera that time anyway.
Haha.
I was probably putting far too many details on something that really doesn't matter. I mean, I have her whole face turning a completely different direction.
Oh no.
Well, when I say a different direction, it's a different direction to me. It's not really that bad.
It's beautiful. I like the shirt color with the blue.
Yeah, it's starting to come together. We still
yeah.
need to get the face tones a little bit more neutralized, or she's a bit sunburned.
The beautiful part about painting these flowers is you don't have to worry about getting the skin tone right.
That's right.
Boom. It was actually a strategic decision.
Look at that. Cove says, I like Olivia's painting so much more than the original.
Oh, thank you, Cove.
Well,
My new best friend.
I'm telling you.
I'm just kidding.
What are you doing later, Cove? All right. Just going to neutralize that a little bit more.
I feel like I am not neutralizing enough, maybe, but this is okay. It's learning.
That's
doing
right.
Learning.
Just add a little bit of brightness to that side of the eye. Is blue phthalo good for this? Well, it is in the sense that you can get a nice chroma from it. So for that reason, yes. Just keep in mind that it is a very invasive, to use the same term I was hearing a second ago, a Napoleon color, where it can be very domineering. But you know, there's a phthalo green that's really interesting for doing something like this. You can try to give that a shot, and you know, go from there. See how that works out for you. Like I said before, I'm having too much fun, but I got to stop fussing. Going to go back to Olivia so you can see our amazing painting she's working on. How about we do a little double tap to get that showing how close. Let me see if I can get that more in focus. Oh, it's already in pretty good. There we go.
Do you know what the time is?
Yeah, it's 3:31.
Oh.
So we're doing good.
Time is flying.
Yeah, we're having a blast. Time flies when you're having fun, isn't it?
It does. It's too good. We need to be having less fun right now.
I know.
I haven't gotten
Why
anything.
we can't draw or painting contemporary cloths in the way old classical artists painting their contemporary dresses, more harmony than what we have today. Do you think I'm reading it wrong?
I get the gist of the question, I think. Like,
Okay.
why are people, classical paintings, wearing what is normal clothing for the time in paintings that looks nice?
And why? In present day it doesn't.
Yeah, in present day,
Clothing doesn't.
yeah.
Gotcha. That's a good question. It might be a law of diminishing returns in the sense that we see it all the time, and it doesn't feel timeless because it feels like it's something we see every day and feels commonplace, and it feels novel to see the old master stuff that people were wearing back then. It might have something to do with the fact that the cloth back then is also far more fun to paint. Yoga pants have as many folds as, and jeans don't have as many folds as some of these old outfits, and they used to wear a lot of clothing, So I wonder if that has something to do with it too.
Yeah, and they probably wouldn't have such vibrant clothing as well. Like the dyes we have today, a lot of them are synthetic, and we can get a lot of really bright colors. So maybe it's easier to get color harmonies with those kind of fabrics from the past.
That is absolutely.
Especially, if we're talking about more casual clothing. Like, I think you could make definitely beautiful paintings with modern clothing. You would just have to be strategic about how you go about it.
Yeah, I think you're right. And they wore hats, I agree.
Everyone loves a good hat. There are not enough stylish lady hats these days.
Yep. And guy hats, I love wearing hats, but I wear baseball caps a lot. And I have a whole lot of other hats that I wear, but the only thing with a wide rim hat is when I'm driving, you can't wear it. And so then you have to take it off because it's like hitting the back of your chair and it becomes a whole thing. And then you have to take it off in buildings. At least that's the original convention is to respectfully you take it off in buildings and that kind of stuff. So
yeah. There's a lot less need for practical uses of hats these days unless it's freezing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
a lot of people used it as their form of sunscreen back in the day and don't have to do that as much anymore because we have sunscreen.
yeah.
So, and people are outside more,
Yeah, we can just be in cars whenever we want to go anywhere.
Yep.
If you're in America.
Right.
But it's a lost art, and we need to bring back the hat.
Let's make a hashtag. Hashtag bring back the hat.
Yes. Can start something.
I was thinking that also clothing today isn't so elegant and graceful. That may be our romantic souls looking for years at beautiful, I have to look over here, beautiful paintings. Also, the material was better quality back then. Yes. In so many ways.
But then you have to think about the peasant paintings wearing potato sacks, and those are still beautiful too.
Yeah, that's true. There is something to be said that you can make anything feel beautiful. And so there are many old master paintings that would even take some of the things like you're saying, like little peasants, and made them feel beautiful too. So.
But that is a good point. Like you were saying, people had less clothes, and the clothes that they were made were usually of higher quality, sturdier fabric, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of flimsy stuff today.
Yeah, and that makes sense why, because the fashion industry wants you to keep buying more.
Yeah.
They want you, so they make it less quality in a way so that you go and get more of it.
Yeah. And people always want new things. So if not people wouldn't be so willing to spend as much on higher quality if they just want to get a new one in a year.
Yep. Now that I have some of the face in, I'm going to bring down the value, some of the other areas around the face.
Louis, Stephanie, what are your best pieces of advice for an artist under 18 trying to go professional?
Find a community that you can be a part of. It's a lonely occupation, especially as a young artist, and to have the encouragement of the right people around you is very important. The other thing that I tell people, if you want to be a professional artist, the first thing you should do is become debt-free, or as close to debt-free as you possibly can, because that will help you have the runway, financial runway, to be able to take a risk. So that would be the first few things that I would say. Well, seeing that you were 18 not too long ago compared to me, what would you say?
Well, I don't feel like I've yet made it to be professional, so I don't...
You're aspiring to be, though.
I am aspiring to be professional.
Let's start with that.
Well, I do think, yes, get involved in the community as much as you can. It just, even for learning purposes, I think, at least in my experience, being a young person, when I was like 18, I kind of had this idea that I could figure it out on my own. And there are a lot of resources online to learn on your own, definitely. There's a lot of helpful videos, a lot of places you can seek information, but it is a lot easier to learn from someone who's already done it themselves, which in some ways is what you're doing right now. You're asking someone who's done it themselves already. But if you can get a mentor or somebody who can help you get into the art world, they've already gone through it and they can give you advice and stand by your side and support you in that way, I think that's very valuable.
That's huge. That's great. Well said. I recently had an argument with a friend of mine, and my point was to prove that Van Gogh was a failure in painting, when in the context of painting, when in the context of painting, any comments regarding this guy? Well, failure is I think what happens is a success is something that happens in a large duration of time. Failure is something that happens in a singular point in time. And so failure, one of my favorite quotes from a friend of mine is, failure is never fatal and rarely final. And I love that quote. I'll say it again, failure is never fatal and rarely final. So in the sense of someone being a failure, you have to have a definition or context of what you think failure is. And rarely do I feel like people are failures. I'll give you another quote by Einstein, that if you teach a fish to climb a tree, he will grow up his whole life thinking he is a failure. And the reason I love that quote so much is that a fish was never designed to climb a tree. And yet, they are far better at swimming than a bear. And a bear might be really good at climbing a tree. And so my point there is it depends on what a person's definition of failure is. And so for that reason, I don't know if I can answer it to your satisfaction, because I don't have your definition of what you mean by failure. So he was broke, you could say he was a failure because of that. You could say in the painting world, some people would have considered him a failure in the time that he was alive and consider him a great success since he's been dead. You know, he never saw his success. So, but as far as recognition and influence in the art world, he was a resounding success. So if that is your definition. So it's very complex what you're asking, I think. And probably not a satisfying answer for you.
But things aren't black and white.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing about life. We all have to learn.
Yep, that's exactly right. Did you see this painting live? Does it have many, many layers? I'm not sure what painting you're talking about. Maybe it was something earlier. Do you have any advice on moving from acrylic to oils? Well, I mean, I think you should just dive right in regardless. And I would say a really great way to dive in is to start these like little color studies, because they allow for you to not get too attached to something, and it allows for you to experiment. So the first thing I would do is do small little paintings like this to get used to how you can control paint. So try that. Did you see this painting live? Does it have many? He must be talking about one of our reference image paintings. Yes, it does have multiple layers. This is an indirect painting, at least mine. So that is true. So, I don't know if that is a bad or good thing as far as me painting it in more of an alla prima format for this, you know, because it wouldn't necessarily mean that the color has to be influenced by it. The milkmaid, okay, yeah. So most of the time, failure doesn't depend on the artist's creativity and skills, but the stereotyped glance of human being society. Yes, I would agree to that sometimes people are in the context of their own understanding of what they think a failure is versus the actual truth of the matter is someone failing at something or not. Good point. This is interesting because I'm doing the shadow side of the arm, and it's actually relatively close to the shadow color of the pot, the picture she's pouring. Mm. Tell you, this is a brain scramble to switch, which I'm going to switch back over to one of our shots. By the way, my camera here, I should have recalibrated the color. It tends to pick it up to being a touch warmer and more chromatic than it really is. It's actually a little bit more neutral than what you're seeing. So keep that in mind when you're judging if something is a failure or not. All the answers are great, thank you. I'm collecting all the ideas and trying to think about art in the way as it is. Since I'm living in a small South Asian country, it's very difficult to reinforcing art. Yes, referencing art, I agree. I'm happy to help in any way possible.
Yeah, we're so glad that you could join us.
It just makes me so excited that people can join us like that all around the world. I always end up choosing these paintings with tons of little details that have different colors. Navigating them is a blast, but at the same time, like, how can I answer questions, switcher, and paint this detailed painting all at once? We'll see if we can make it happen.
Yeah, it's quite a challenge. You're doing so much work. I feel like I am just doing business as usual, and it's difficult.
See if I can just stay on task. And at least give everything a color.
Yeah.
It's amazing how close you're getting with these neutrals of Vermeer with these highly chromatic colors. I wouldn't have thought it possible, especially in a lower value. So, you know, that's the fun of trying, is you realize all of a sudden, if you have the right paint colors that mix well, you can, it's amazing what kind of color relationships you can create. I'm gonna have to bring the tabletop down because I think I didn't leave enough room for the basket. Okay. Trophy yellow smiling. Congratulations to them on multitasking. It is not easy. It is not. We'll switch back over. There we go. But we're making it work. And I'm quite proud of the efforts we're trying to push forward here. All right, I went a little too orange with that. I will say though, I've said it every day, but this is so much fun. Don't know what it is, but that golden basket behind the milkmaid is gorgeous. It really is. Maybe I should paint it in soon. I'm trying to get all these like crazy details in with the with the bread and everything that I've totally not paid attention to the background. Promise you, I'll get to it.
It's coming.
It's coming. Slowly but surely, we're gonna get there. Make all of this, at least the bread like a big blob at the moment, and see if I can get some of these other things in. Could have given her way more height. I could have gone way higher, but it's okay. We can drop way lower now.
Yeah. Problem solving.
Yeah, exactly. Use the difficulty for any of those people that was here for the first couple of days. Use the difficulty. We'll just make this table a bit lower and we'll pull everything down a little bit. What about the Golden Objects Fabric Session 1, Day 1 for beginners? Okay, I'm not sure what they're talking about. What What about the golden object fabric session?
Oh, maybe as a recommendation for what kind of content?
Yeah, totally. We can do that. I agree for the basket, and the whole composition is great too. Let's see if we can just quickly put that little guy in there. Touch more room for all these objects to live. Good thing about painting is it's pretty forgiving. You can, if you didn't have everything in the right spot, you can pretty much move it, especially if it's alla prima. Just kind of push the paint around till you find what's working.
Just do some scooching.
Scooching. I like it, Liv. Speaking of, let's switch over to Liv. Gotcha. Suggestion, golden objects or textures for beginners. I love it. Yes. Thank you for that clarification. I was scared I missed a comment earlier, and I'm sure I've missed several, so I apologize. Just retype it if I missed your comment that you want answered again. Okay, and then we'll just bring this down a little more, down here. I'll add some of this bread. Does anyone see Thayer's painting in real life? Just wondering the degree of impasto he's used. It's a lot. Thayer is known for how much impasto he puts on his paintings. I mean, he slops paint onto his paintings. So, of course, that's not our exercise, so it doesn't really matter in this instance. But if you go look, sometimes his paintings are like, some areas are like heavily cracking and stuff because he just puts tons of chunky paint on his work. So you gotta check it out. It's at the National Portrait Gallery in DC. If you happen to be stateside, check it out. And if you happen to be vacationing to the US, if you are out of the country, check it out. Yes, I've seen the Thayer painting, and there's a lot of paint on it. It's one of my favorite of all time. I agree.
Thank you.
Liv, how you doing over there, huh?
I was trying to do the flowers. I kind of started neglecting all the dark bits of the painting.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to work in with that. And all the leaves. The leaves have so many interesting colors in them.
Mm-hmm.
There's certainly like warm red tones, but also kind of cool pink gray notes.
Mm-hmm.
There's like everything but green in them,
Yeah.
which is fun. How are you doing?
Good. I'm trying to add as little but as much detail of the detailed spots as possible, which is, a little bit of a paradox. But Just trying to put down enough information for it to make sense of color relationships, but not so much that I'm trying to fuss, which is, if you're painting one of these, ladies and gentlemen, that's one of the challenges, is to like not get too up in the weeds, but just enough to like get the color relationships going. So that's where I am. It's not a bad place to be.
Not a bad place to be. You're doing it.
That's right, I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the most important part. That's why I hadn't even changed brushes a whole lot these past several days, is because who's got time to change brushes when you're trying to like speed color swatch spots in your painting?
Yeah. I've got 4 brushes I've used, which is good. It's a good
Yeah.
amount. I feel like any more would just be too much.
Yeah. See, now I'm getting context in. I know how more blue I can make the dark area. Or even green. Some of these darks. That way, if I have this color representing this area, that means I can bring some of these other things down more. Okay, we'll go ahead and like move to the background while we're hitting the 4 o'clock hour. Yeah,
Oi.
exactly. That's my sentiments exactly. This is like my favorite part though, because I feel like now that kind of everything has a little bit of color on it, and I'm going to end up dropping it a little bit so it like comes closer down, I'm going to add a little more down to the bottom here. And I can start tweaking stuff, making it get closer to the contextual color relationships. That's
Yeah.
my favorite part.
This is when it starts to come together.
Mm-hmm. For all of you 80s kids out there, I love it when a plan comes together, which was what a guy on the A-Team, which is a TV show with Mr. T back in the day, he would always say, I love it when a plan comes together. It's one of my favorite shows growing up. Let me know if anybody else out there loved that show. One of my favorites. You have any favorite childhood shows, Livia?
I really liked SpongeBob growing up.
Oh, I love
SpongeBob's
SpongeBob.
great.
I still love SpongeBob.
SpongeBob's classic.
Yeah,
I
man.
haven't watched any of the new episodes really, but
They're not as good. They're not as good as the old episodes.
Oh.
I tried them out a while back. I was like, oh, I see they made new episodes, and it's a little bit more goofy, and a little more slapsticky, and the jokes aren't as clever.
oh,
But the old school, yeah. Even in college, I was watching SpongeBob because I loved it. I think there's a lot of stuff there for adults, that like humor that kids are definitely not picking up. Not that it's like adult humor, but it's humor that only in the context of being an adult you would understand.
I love when kids shows do that. Because it's like maybe you're revisiting something when you're older that you used to love, and
Yep.
there's so many more layers to it than you realized.
Honestly, it's a clever thing to do in the sense that
The parents want to watch it too.
exactly. That's the clever part, and that's why I've loved watching it as an adult. I might not have kids, but I've enjoyed watching it as an adult because there are little subtle innuendos that they're making, that you don't know about, with that. Phineas and Ferb. Oh my goodness, Jonathan, you've become one of my favorite new friends. I'm a huge Phineas and Ferb fan. So, believe it or not, as an adult, I love cartoons. That is, this has become confessions time, but that is one of the things that I just still enjoy if it's a good cartoon. So, and Phineas and Ferb's a classic. I think that it's really great.
Hi, Tina. Shout out.
Oh, Tina. Things are looking so good. Tina's in the other room watching to make sure that nothing goes south. She's my backup in case something starts to really go south.
She's got our back.
She does. It's always good to have somebody having your back. While I have the camera on you, Tina, I'm just going to go do something that is a bit more boring. I'm going to just go down here and expand the bottom of this painting to having probably closer to the correct proportions.
Count Duckula. That must be a show.
Count Duckula.
I want to check it out.
I almost want to say I almost feel like that was a spin-off of Darkwing Duck, maybe, which was a cartoon off of, or maybe it's a show that's more new that I'm not aware of. I want to hear more about Count Duckula. Oh, Knight Rider. Now you're talking. So images of the Vermeer show. Small dots of impasto to get the sparkles. And you're right. All the little impasto dots on the bread is incredible, and when you see it in real life. So, why do we twist and bend our neck like that when checking our work in progress? I do it too. It's strange. I think it is our way of trying to think about using the right side of our brain to see if the shape still makes sense. Yes, I think it is a natural reflex for us to want to do that.
It's interesting because I do it bend it this way. I don't ever bend it this way.
Oh yeah?
I always bend it to the left, not to the right.
I wonder if that has something to do with your dominant eye.
I don't know.
You know?
I just feel like I can see it almost better in a weird way, even though it's not. Maybe it's just looking at it from a different angle.
Squinting actually has a reason for doing it. One of my friends who's an optometrist was telling me about this. The squinting actually helps you have a smaller aperture where you're letting less light in. And so by doing so, you can see value ranges in contrast to each other better. Like it groups the value ranges more. And I felt that was super interesting, that was a thing.
There's a reason we do these funny things.
Yes, there is. Knight Rider, man, brings me back. Used to be there was another one that was a brief show called Airwolf that was like Knight Rider, but it was a helicopter. And I remember as a child of the 80s, it was so cool.
What is Knight Rider?
Knight Rider, it was a car that this guy drove. And of course, there was like mysteries that they had to solve and stuff. But it had an invincible shell on the car. So meaning like the car looked like a normal black sports car. And it had like this like red pulsing light that would go across the front. It would make a sound going. But it was like he actually was like could talk to you. It was intelligent. The car was intelligent. So it would be like, you know, if you hooked up ChatGPT to your car these days or something, it could talk back to you, and it was like this special technology that the driver and the car was Kit, and they would, you know, going all these adventures that would ensue. So David Hasselhoff was the actor of it.
Great.
So that was where he became a star, and then later, of course, he became even larger star from Baywatch. But that was like where he got his start.
I know David Hasselhoff from the SpongeBob movies.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So anyway, that's where he got his start, was from Knight Rider.
Now I know.
Yep. There used to be a rack on the wall behind the milkmaid with cans hanging on it. There was also a big basket with coals at her feet. They found out last year. Oh, with infrared cameras, that's wild. That's awesome. There was another one too, where there was a whole painting in the background that I think they later painted over in another Vermeer painting. I can't remember which painting it was, but a similar scene where it was like some sort of tapestry or something in the background that people were talking about. Airwolf and Knight Rider should be a crossover. Yes, that would be awesome. Children of the 80s right there, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I'll switch back over when I'm starting on the background. I'm just expanding the bottom, and while I'm doing that, you'll probably be more entertained watching Livia paint.
I feel like it's lopsided, but maybe it's his painting. All the flowers kind of lean towards one side for the most part, so it's not my painting. We'll blame him. No.
That's it.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, do it. Blame him.
His fault.
He's not around.
My painting's just lopsided.
I always say it's like, oh, I'm just going to do this over an hour. But I think because of all the multitasking, I can't paint as fast, which is great because that means it's going to last a normal duration of time, you know. Girl reading at the open window had been painted over a wide painting of Cupid, which Vermeer had originally painted. That's awesome. MacGyver, chewing gum, duct tape, and paper clips. Oh, MacGyver was awesome. MacGyver was one that was like a super smart guy who could basically make anything happen with just a few odds and ends that were around him. And
another TV show.
Yep.
So he like made gadgets.
Well, like he might be in a situation that he would find himself in a bind, but he could use like a paper clip and a piece of dust and something, you know, and something else to like make a helicopter and get out of the situation.
Oh.
Like he was just like super resourceful.
Fancy.
I'm loving these childhood memories talk and the Vermeer paintings. Where I love it. We're having like two different conversations. We're having like deep art history, and then like 80s movies and shows, like Magnum PI, another great 80s classic. I was slightly too young for Magnum PI when it came out because like my parents were like, oh, that's more of an adult show. Of course, I wasn't really into it anyway. I was more into probably Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But Knight Rider was around the same time, but for some reason, because it was cars and stuff, like it was cool, you know. So had more appeal to me as a kid.
We all know the best show ever is Hannah Montana.
Hannah Montana, bringing it back up to the 2000s and 90s, huh?
It was 2000s.
2000s,
definitely,
okay.
Because
Yeah.
I was born in 98.
There you go.
Actually, it might be a 2000. It went into the 2010s.
That might be true. That is not my era, so it's funny because there are some shows like that were not, they were just right on the cusp where I probably wouldn't have watched them. Like any live action show that was in the 2000s, I probably didn't watch, like, you know, like Real Life of Zack and Cody and that kind of stuff. But the reason I know most of these shows is because I have a lot of younger siblings, and they would watch these shows. And then, like, I remember my little brother watching SpongeBob, and that's where I thought it was hilarious and started watching it on my own. Avatar, yes, Tina. Avatar, Lady
Avatar
Airbender
is the
rules all
best.
shows. Yes,
She speaks truth.
she does. We are all big Avatar fans here. The Last Airbender Avatar. Last, she got it off. That was funny. Yes, the Last Airbender. Fabulous show. I know that we have some people that were like losing our audience by talking about some of these things. So tell me what your childhood show that wasn't the 80s or 90s or 2000s. Tell us what your childhood show was. You know, maybe it was something. You know, I was a big fan of, like, you know, Leave It to Beaver and I Love Lucy too growing up because my parents loved that and we used to watch it together. So Andy Griffin show. Anybody out there who loved Andy Griffin back in the day? It's so funny, like Ron Howard, talk about a career. That guy has been around forever. You know, now as a director of box office movies. But he was like Opie and Andy Griffin back in the day. Sliders. I'm assuming that's a show, and I just don't know that show, if that is. Captain Kangaroo. That was my mom's favorite childhood show. Yep. She always talked about it, and I don't think you know, like usually you can find the old shows on like Hulu or Prime or something like that. I never see Captain Kangaroo, which is really, really interesting. The A-Team. Well, that brings us back to square one. That's what I was talking about with, you know, I love it when a plan comes together. Because that was Hannibal's phrase he would say. He was like the mastermind of the team. And at the end of the show, after everything worked out, he would always be like, I love it when a plan comes together. Your milk lady is thinner than the one on Vermeer. Is that a cultural matter? I love it. No, it's because it's actually mine is probably, it's close. Well, actually it might be a little thinner now that I'm looking at it, but it's not that much thinner. It's because the camera angle is showing you a vantage point where it makes the panel look thinner. So because I can't put the camera in front of me, it's taking the shot at an angle, and so it makes everything look more narrow. That's kind of funny. Sliders where the characters go to other parallel worlds trying to get back their original dimension. Oh, yeah, I don't know. That's Fraggle Rock. Jim Henson. Yep. Fraggle Rock was awesome. That's another show that I don't see any like reruns on any platform. It's funny, my wife and I, because it's Halloween season, we kind of watch a scary movie. We don't watch like crazy scary movies. We watch like a Disney style scary, you know. And we watched The Labyrinth, which is a Jim Henson production, a few nights ago. And that was fun, because that was like a childhood movie. Of course, it scared the crap out of me when I was a kid, but now it's kind of funny.
I've only seen clips of it, and it looks so strange.
It is, it's very strange. So, but it's got David Bowie, so it's got to be a bit strange. God rest his soul. What a influential person in music and culture. The Muppets, yeah. Muppet, I want to hear what everyone's favorite Muppet movie is. Mine used to be Muppets Take Manhattan, but then over time, later on, they made one called Muppets in Space, and there's some really fun, one of my favorite characters is the shrimp. Why am I drawing a blank on his name? Pepe, Pepe the shrimp. And that's why I switched to saying my favorite one was Muppets in Space. But Muppets Treasure Island is pretty darn good too. If you haven't ever seen that, that one's pretty stinking awesome. Yet again, lots of little brothers, so I end up watching all of these shows.
They're good shows.
Mr. Bean. My wife and I watched the new Mr. Bean recently that came on Netflix. It was pretty awesome. All right, I'm going to switch over and do this little basket really quick because everybody was talking about the basket. Let's see if we can put that in. So, anyone seen the TV series Hornblower? I think it was released early 2000s. Now that's one I don't know. I don't know Hornblower. Battlestar Galactica, classic. Yeah, if you're a sci-fi person and you haven't watched Battlestar Galactica, you got to. If you like Star Wars, you like Star Trek, you got to watch it. It's one of my buddy's favorite shows. Now, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and I know a decent amount of Star Trek, but if I were to choose one of the sci-fi universes, that's probably the one I would choose, is the Star Wars one. That's the one I still can't kind of keep up with. I've not seen, I want to know more about the Hornblower because I've never heard about that one before. Of course, it makes me sound like I'm just like a huge TV buff. I just have seen bits and pieces of all of these at different times in my life. So, all right, so I'm going to go ahead and darken up this side. How are we doing on time? 4:21, getting close.
Mm.
Which is great because I feel like I'm, there's things that definitely aren't going to be in here, but at least getting some of this stuff in here.
We're doing the full 3 hours. Is that what we're going for?
I mean, if you're cool with it, I'm cool with it.
I'm cool with it.
Yeah. Or full 3 hours, or just when I feel like I finally have reached what I'm trying to achieve.
Yeah. Sounds good. I am kind of struggling to get the blue that I want. I can't get it as blue.
You got it. You got this. Keep going.
I got this. It's probably just that it's getting mixed with the paint already on the panel. Less so than like me not being able to do it with the colors on my palette. But
Uh-oh, we lost. I think it's the computer that keeps falling asleep. Yes, I can show a close-up of it. There we go. Thank you. I'm so glad that y'all are enjoying these paintings. Now that I've like paint up there, I'm just kind of mixing in some more paint colors. Thanks. Don't forget to nail put the nail in. All right. Make sure near the end to say that one more time so that I make sure I get that nail in.
it'll be your final mark.
It'll be my final mark of the painting. All right, Olivia, you got to help me remember.
Okay, I'll try my best.
Hey, you did her skinny. Okay, y'all. All right, so I'm going to show you that it's not as skinny as you think. So if I pull this over, watch this. See? Now she's much wider. So you have to put the milk in too. Yes, I'll put the milk in. All right, I'm going to pull this back over here. Now that you know I'm not trying to paint her skinny. Not trying to. See if I can pull this up just a little bit too. Sorry, I should have probably switched camera angles while I did all of that, but. All right, we're going to try to put a little bit more of this color in here because I want to make everything pop just a little more. A little more turquoise. So we have a 4-value color study. Oh, I need to switch camera angles. Go to Olivia for a second. A 4-value color study. What?
you feeling about it, Lewis?
I'm feeling
Give
good.
us an update. What's your thought process?
I am thinking about mixing color and value, hue, and chroma. That's my thought process.
Wow, insightful.
Yes. I thought everyone would like that. No, just trying to push everything around just a little bit. See kind of what color relationships I can make happen. I'm gonna try to finish a few more things out on this basket and like little lantern back here. Hornblower is based on based on some very popular books by C.S. Forester. It's about the French Revolution from a naval perspective. It's really cool naval. That's cool. I'd totally check that out. All right, I'm going to put in that milk for you guys. Oh, I guess you would like to see me doing it. Just so I don't forget, because I'm scared I will, I'm just going to go ahead and put that nail up there. But I think I'm a little low on the camera. So there we go. Well, first I'm going to put the shadow. And then I'll put the nail. There you go. There's your nail. Nailed it. So, give you a close-up for it.
Is that just
That
the
little
left of
nail
her head?
right up there. Yeah.
Beautiful. It really completes the painting.
It does. Livia, it's looking beautiful.
Thank you. Yours is looking beautiful too.
Thank you.
You're doing a good job with the colors.
Thank you, thank you. All right, 4:30, getting rounding the corner here. So now it's just about, honestly, it's just about tightening everything up.
It's about scraping it back and starting a new one because we're dissatisfied.
Yeah. This is our opportunity. All right, see if I can put a little bit of dimension in on these, on the spread. really am thoroughly enjoying doing these things. I hope y'all are having as much fun. I can't wait to see y'all's stuff on Discord. Remember if you haven't yet, there's a link in the description below to join our Discord. We'd love to see you there. I think the camera has some kind of atmophobia because of the flower vase appears a bit thinner. Yes, it's because the cameras are at an angle.
Yes, we did it right, actually.
They're perfect. It's just the cameras won't show it to you.
The camera doesn't want you to see our success.
I will say there is, we're trying to work on a chance to make, to change, be able to warp the perspective on our paintings to be correct. There's like some software that I'm trying to figure out if I can get to happen. So
More software.
more software. There's always more software. I always feel like there's more software.
Why have less software when you can have more software?
Right. Right.
This is not some basement production.
That's right. We're going to have this be command central. We can be Houston for NASA here by the end of it.
We're gonna get a Netflix show soon, I'm pretty sure.
Hey, I would not be opposed. That would be a lot of fun. See about putting a few of these little window panes up here. Not trying to get these perfect kids as far as perspectives goes. I'm just kind of putting them in for the fun of it. Since we have time.
Are you sure you don't want to add the details to the nail?
You're right. Yep, that's a good call out.
It looks unfinished.
Oh. I keep saying, I'm not going to do a lot of details on these things. This is not what it's about. And they keep adding more and more details. Of course, part of that is so that we have more stuff for y'all to see. But you don't have to make these as details I'm making.
The
This one.
nail is the star of the show.
It absolutely is.
Of course you need it.
I will say the most challenging color is this this lower value blue.
Oh, see, I'm having the same problem. I think it's all right though.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's not the easiest. I also have a low value blue. Sad.
yeah, that's probably the only color in this painting that would be a real challenge to hit perfectly. been finishing my hound in Santa hat during class today.
Ah.
I just flopped it in on my wool rug, so it will be, we'll need to remove the wool. Oh, before posting on Discord. Brutal. Hate that for you. I've totally done that, and you have to like pick all the crap off of it.
Looking forward to seeing the Santa hound.
Not as perfectly satisfied with yellow. Has a little bit more green as it turns away. So I'm gonna see if I can shift it over just a bit. Can't wait to see what everyone's working on. Right. Let's see, what am I missing that's important? It's funny, I think I can still push the darkness over here. Yep. And that means this can get darker. That's the fun thing about this is you go, oh, I can go darker here, I can go darker there, I can keep adding darker and darker values.
I agree. I feel like I almost want to let it dry so I can go back over it with darker stuff. I want to push it more.
Thank you both for so much for doing these live streams. They are really helpful. I hope to meet you in person someday. I agree. I hope to meet you in person someday too. So it would be my pleasure.
Yeah, that would be great. Definitely, definitely. Always great to meet more like-minded people.
That's right. Enjoying this. Well, thank you, James. We enjoy doing them, that's for sure. switch over to Olivia so you can see what she's working on.
Just a whole flower. Put it there.
You're like, nothing's changed, still working on a flower. Gonna add a little more richness to the skin tones of her hand, milkmaid hand. Add a little more white.
James says, next time I want to paint along. Absolutely.
You should. That's the whole purpose, is we want you to paint along. It's funny because I want us to be painting along with you. That's kind of why we're doing this. It's not you painting along with us. It's to help encourage you that we want to paint along with you. So pick up the brush next time. We're doing one tomorrow. And while we're kind of getting closer to wrapping up, I might as well go ahead and talk about tomorrow. Tomorrow we're doing Crazy Color Day. Crazy Color Day is basically using unconventional colors like orange, violet, green to be your colors that you'll be working with. So, so keep that in mind when we're working on it, that you want to use maybe a couple of secondary colors that you have, some random colors that you might want to try out. We have a few reference images that we've already put up for you that you can check out. You can check them out on the YouTube link of tomorrow. You can check them out at our website. Plenty of places to get those reference images. We'd love to see you paint along with us tomorrow. That would be a blast. That's why, any reason why we're doing it, to help be an encouragement for you. So check that out. Tell me what you think. Look forward to seeing you there.
We do. We look forward to it. Seeing all the cool art that gets made.
Yep.
You're going to have a nice little collection of studies by the end of this.
Oh, speaking of, all of these studies will be up for sale to help support all of the peeps here at East Oak Studio. And we are really excited. We're doing this holiday sale literally after it's all said and done. In fact, I might even work on trying to put like a QR code for you to be able to see. And you will be able to, these will be affordable prices for any of y'all that has enjoyed watching this program, that you might want to start a collection. This would be a good place to start because they're going to be pretty affordable. It'll be a great holiday gift for anyone. And like I said, the reason we do this, we want to make it free for everyone, but one way you can support us so that we can keep making things for free is to maybe buy one of our studies. Buy one of these little things that we've made during our sessions. So, and there'll be more than that. It's going to be a whole studio sale. So it'll be studies and other studio paintings that we've made. So we hope to see them go to fun homes. Holiday shopping, yes, that's right. That is right.
Get an East Oaks original.
That's right. Find a good home for it. So, and it will help us be able to make more of these. Because as much as I love it, I've made some pretty heavy investments to keep doing this. And it'll be really great to see all of your support. Regardless, I'll try my best to keep doing them regardless. How you feeling, Liv?
I feel pretty good about it. I feel I'm just kind of pushing things around a little bit at this point, but
I gotcha.
I got the bulk of it down. I feel pretty good.
Nice.
I feel learned.
Learned.
I know how Thayer did it now, so I'll take that with me to my next painting.
Yep. Oh, I was right. I'll work on the color of this arm, and then we'll probably call it quits, because I think we're both, I'm definitely just kind of pushing and pulling stuff now, just like you are. So that tells me that, like, without trying to get too heavily into the details, that's as far as I typically want to take things in a color study. I mean, I could make this into a tiny little Vermeer painting, but that's not the whole idea of this, you know. So, yeah, I think I'm with you. I'm gonna just finish up some of the colors on this thing and then probably get close to calling it.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Compared to other things, it's amazing how like neutral the bread is. At first it looks like it's so chromatic, and then like you realize how neutral it is near the end.
It's cool. I feel like the longer you spend with the painting, the more you kind of discover about it. Like I have been noticing all these little blue marks where I didn't originally see them. And it's cool how he kind of ties the painting together like that. Those little scattered marks on the leaves and in the background unifies the whole thing.
Totally. All right, everyone, I think we're getting close to calling it today. So glad that y'all were here to be a part of this. This has been absolutely a joy of mine. You know, if I did any more, I'd start putting in details that I probably shouldn't be doing. So I'm gonna let it at that. Let's see, Jasmine says, such flowers are very difficult to paint loose and finally look beautiful and increase the poetic mood of the great, poetic mood with the general blurred effect in the painting. Thank you both for your awesome, love it. Love painting along with you sometime. Please, we look forward to it. Thank y'all all so much. Just remember tomorrow, we're going to be doing Crazy Color Day. So think about like your greens, your oranges, your violets. I'm probably going to be doing some variation of that, maybe like a Viridian green and like maybe a cad orange or something, and like a manganese violet. I might have one neutral in there and then a white and dark. So keep that in mind. We have a whole nother set of reference images for you for that day. So do work on that as well. And you know, we're really looking forward to another day with everyone tomorrow. Thank you so much. I hope that y'all were not only entertained, but also were you painting along. Send us all of the stuff you're doing on Discord. I love every evening looking at what y'all have been making. Makes me so happy, and we're really building a community there. So tell us if there's things that you want to see with it, requests that you may have, and look forward to seeing you next time. So everyone, y'all have a fabulous night. Say bye, Livia.
Bye. That's a wrap.
You can say it into that camera.
Which one?
That one right
Bye.
there. All right, everybody, have a good night.